Welcome to the 2026 ChannelX Leaders Interviews. Absolutely delighted to be joined by Cas today, founder and CEO of OnBuy. And I was thinking before this video, Cas, I can't remember how long I've known you, but it's got to be way over a decade now.
We're getting old together, Chris.
Yeah. So let's dive straight in. Last time we spoke, you were just starting your international rollout of OnBuy. Very exciting times. But tell us, what progress have you made so far? And what's been most encouraging as you scale into new global markets? And you were sort of the British marketplace, but now you're a global marketplace. So what's been happening?
Yeah, no, it was a very exciting journey, and I think when we met last time, we were knee deep in the rollout of the first 12 countries. We've now launched 20 additional countries for OnBuy, all across Europe, EU and non-EU, into an array of new currencies. There's 9 new currencies on the platform, so we're operating a 10 currency business. Obviously, Euro makes it a little bit easier currency-wise for some, but all different languages, UX, feels, payments. The company's gone on a tremendous activation in those markets. We've taken, 20 new sites, and each one has to go on its own activation journey, optimization, UX, making sure you get the payment acceptance. Most importantly, your onboarding supply, getting sellers connected, local connections. We've been bringing on new salespeople across the continent. We now have people in Spain, Italy, Germany, France, and some Poland, and some coming further afield at the moment. And the business has been engaging in supply activation. We launched 8 countries in September, which are still in their very much infancy stage. And the company's grown tremendously. So, last January, we'd done nothing. It was all brand new, with our investors, our shareholders, and our sellers all thinking, how big is this going to be? And we had, as we always do, we have very ambitious targets. We want to create a lot, but it's nice to come and follow up on the successes that we've achieved, because in the first year alone, our run rate surpassed 50 million. And as we roll into 2026, we're expecting our run rate to surpass the UK very quickly this year. We're growing on average, with peaks and troughs as you do, at 10 to 15% per week. That's significant.
Per week?
Per week, and that compounds very quickly. This week, for example, we're already 62% up week on week in Europe. The growth into Germany, Netherlands, Sweden are absolutely taking off. We're connecting to new local partners. We still haven't integrated some of our key partners. We've recently brought on board Octopia. We're about to connect with plenty markets. There's plenty of opportunity in Europe still, immediate, instant opportunity to grow and obtain sales. And we're tapping into marketing channels that just really are under leveraged in Europe. And it's allowing sellers to access incrementality across the continent, which is really, really interesting, and exactly what we were hoping that we would achieve. And now we're setting our sights on maturing those markets, how we obviously continue the growth rate, but how we bring in local supply. For those who remember, we're actually, we were invested in by the state of Norway in 2021. With a plan that we would come into the Nordics, and we would activate local supply there as well. So each country is now starting to get its country by country focus. We're bringing on local partners, local sellers, local salespeople. We're getting boots on the ground, and we're really solidifying that vision and bringing the activation that we need in every single European market. So it's been a very interesting year. I probably have aged 5 years in 1 year, but it has been a fantastic year. And hats off to Team OnBuy, because there's not many companies that can say that they'll switch something new on, achieve 50 million in year 1, and be on track to exceed a run rate of 200 million in year 2. That's a phenomenal story.
There's some scary big numbers in there. But what I really want to do, Cass, is get down to the nitty gritty of how you're positioning OnBuy as a welcoming and sustainable marketplace for international sellers, uh, both looking to more shoppers domestically, but I think importantly also expand beyond their home markets. And I'm hoping you can touch a little bit on kind of how European sellers can sell into other European markets, but also how UK sellers can take advantage of the fact that OnBuy is now an international marketplace.
Absolutely, and that was the whole vision of the business. It wasn't to have individual marketplaces that forced the seller to have to engage with each platform. Instead, we have a singular solution that allows a seller to connect and take advantage of those markets. So one integration, access to 21 countries. And we're trying to build exciting new tools in 2026 that makes this even easier. But right now, it is easy for those sellers who do sell in other markets or want to sell in other markets. It's very straightforward. One integration can give you access to the whole platform. And throughout 2026, we're going to launch tools that make some of that even easier for sellers who have never sold into other markets and various other things. So lots of exciting things to come. But right now, a seller can join OnBuy in any of their local territories, join the appropriate primary site, Germany, France, for example, build the relationship with our account management team, get connected, create your inventory, and then make your inventory accessible to other markets. It's very simple. The idea is that OnBuy becomes the world's first global marketplace. I say that really carefully because people will say, well, isn't Amazon a global marketplace? Isn't eBay a global marketplace? Yes, but there's a lot of separation between how those platforms work. And there's a lot of, in other platforms that have tried to do it outside of eBay and Amazon, there's a lot of quirky rules or pricing mechanisms that don't give the sellers the autonomy that they want to be able to actually sell and control prices in those individual markets. And we wanted to make sure we were seller centric when it came to this approach. Sellers want control, they can have control, and they can price products individually per market. They can take control of what should or should not be put into a specific market. It's designed to give, our platform is designed to give sellers a lot of control, and we will continue to improve that as we move forward as well. So yeah, it doesn't stop with 21 countries. We have other plans, as I'm sure you'll likely ask me about.
Well, before I ask you about that, the one thing I really do love is the kind of, I've logged on to OnBuy, I can now control all of my countries from the one platform, because having to open a shop in each individual country, or even worse, having to apply to sell in each individual country on a separate account is just an absolute nightmare. And beyond anything, I think the one thing sellers will appreciate is a single point of support across the world, because too often we hear, oh, I've got a problem in Germany, I've now got to speak to German customer service, or I've got a problem in France, that's a different group I've got to speak to. And having the whole lot, single dashboard, single control, I know a lot of people are going to welcome that. But on that theme, what I'm really interested in is, what have you learned so far from expanding internationally that's helped you grow the platform? Is it different in different countries? What have sellers been telling you? What have buyers been telling you? And is there any impact in on the UK in there?
Well, of course, we're always learning, answering in reverse, really. But the UK is always going to be affected by the learns that we get across, lots of other countries, and we optimize our business based on customer feedback, seller feedback. So we're always trying to improve across all markets. But there is a really important thing here. OnBuy is not a platform that is a shared front end for all countries. That wouldn't work. It might be
Yeah.
shared for the seller, but every single country has its own UX, its own language, its own flow, and there'll be subtle but important differences in every country that we trade in. Even the way that checkout works, or the way that browsing might differ. UX layouts, colors, features can differ, and most importantly, payments and payment UX can differ as well. So every country, there's a lot to learn. And for that, you can't arrogantly launch a business and just say, this is us, this is how it works, and away you go. You have to embrace local customer feedback. You have to embrace local UX. And it's only when you get those things right that things start to work. And we knew that that would be the case. We went into this very, very open-minded when it came to, we're investing a lot of money in this, and this had to be done in a way that was attractive to the market, giving it the biggest chance of success. And a lot of planning for many years went into countries. So, we always planned to be an international product as a business, but we had to make sure that our solid foundation was in place before we started to reach overseas. It couldn't be a distraction to the UK. That's a really important point as well. A lot of businesses struggle because they do something new, they put all of their energy into the new thing and forget, the legacy. For us, it was important that the UK was structured, had the right and powerful team to keep the UK growing, keep UK sellers thriving, and then launch additional markets over and above as an incremental lift to the business. And I think we've got that right. Obviously, we've made some, as any business will, we've made some minor mistakes along the way. We've tweaked things, changed things. You find your way forward. But overall, it's been a huge success story for this company. And Europe will overtake the UK as you would expect it to, but it will actually do it faster than we originally modeled. We thought it was going to take about 3-4 years to beat a business that's been online for 9, but actually it's only going to take 2. And that's really exciting for us because it means that the foundational components of launching the UK have benefited the acceleration of the European Union. So really excited by that. And it gives us a playbook now that we can leverage to launch elsewhere.
And I'm glad you talked about not having a distraction from the UK, because as international scale increases, and I have to say, hugely exciting for UK sellers on OnBuy that can now access the international, but they still want the UK business to be strong. So how are you continuing to invest and accelerate growth within the UK market itself while balancing that with expanding internationally?
Yeah, well, it starts with how you structure your team, how you structure team objectives, how you measure success, and how you operate as a business. And for us, the UK is still a central component to everything that we do. We treat every country individually, and the UK is our breadwinning territory. So as far as I'm concerned, they're very clear structure, ownership, targets to make sure that the UK remains a primary focus. And we're structuring the business so that the emerging leading countries within Europe, for example, start to get their clear ownership structure within OnBuy. So one focus or one goal or one person's role doesn't cannibalize other areas of the business. And I think operationally, it's important to get that structure right, targets right, and the operational rhythm of the business right, so that you can focus on those territories and make sure you get enough energy on your core business and don't lose sight of what's true. For us, it's important that we're clear to the market that the UK is still a very important, if not one of our most important markets. And we want to ensure that the UK continues to grow, continues to flourish. And now that the core foundation of OnBuy is delivered, as in our platform supports global and globalization, that was a huge investment. And that took a lot of our tech resource, financial resource to build the solution that made sure that was possible. Now that that's done, our energy is on optimization, site improvements. We're about to do something big in search and discovery. The UK is going to benefit from this the same way that the European markets are going to benefit from this. So it's really exciting. Yeah, big year.
Yeah, and then looking ahead to 2026, what does success look like for OnBuy, not just this year, but over the next couple of years, both in terms of international and the continued growth in the UK marketplace? What would make you get up in the morning and think in 2-3 years' time, yeah, we've done a good job over the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, obviously, for me, if I wanted to pin some targets down and say this is what we're going to do in 3-4 years, it would be the EU will continue to scale until it's reached a significant number. The UK will continue to scale until it's reached a significant number. The numbers we're talking about now are still ground floor as far as we're concerned. They're still just the baby steps. There's a lot to do. we got to do it, and we've got to get on sellers that really understand that this is maybe the smallest marketplace they might join if they're joining the big ones, but it is growing and it will get there. And you can take a big slice of a smaller market now and really benefit from what we're doing, because it does, our platform does work. If we were to look back and say what was successful for us, it's additional markets, because we want to replicate that playbook, and some really exciting acquisitions and partnerships that we're bringing into the mix to be able to offer sellers more. See, we see a route. We made the Comet investment, wearing the Comet logo today, made the Comet investment of acquiring a brand. Comet's more than a platform, it's more than a legacy UK brand. It's a proof of concept that we can operate outside of one box. We're not so precious that we have to call everything OnBuy. Do you remember the days of Rakuten changing all of those fantastic names to Rakuten?
But hey, what happened to Play.com?
For us, it's embracing brand equity and proving that we can do something different, and then how that might actually impact our international strategy. What might we do in the USA, leveraging what we learn about Comet? And there's a lot to do there. We're also looking at acquisitions to accelerate the business growth, particularly in Europe or the United States. So there might be something in there for the next 3 or 4 years. But fundamentally, it's going to come down to GMV. For us, what we want to create is a business that's a multi-billion-pound GMV company, giving access to all of our sellers, staying true to what we set out from day one, and a really strong customer retention model that makes people want to use our platform more than just price and a price run. Because at the minute, a lot of marketplaces, the customers are just running between A, B, and C at whoever's got the best price or the best promotion for the best week. It's not sustainable for anyone, marketplace or the seller. And we want to try and leverage our cashback ecosystem, which we don't charge sellers for. It comes out of our margin to keep customers engaged and retained. And that's starting.
And I saw you doing as high as 8% cashback over the Black Friday Christmas period, which was pretty darn generous, I'd say.
They've gone much higher than that. There are selected offers on the site going up to 20s, 30s, 40s. I saw cashback promotions last week running at 47%. So if you're in it, you start to really recognize that there's a lot at play here. There's a lot of cashback on the platform. Once you become a VIP, once you're in the ecosystem, start paying attention to our deals, checking the website. The more customers are doing that, the more they're realizing that this isn't just like a credit card offering 1%. There are some significant cashback rates available for customers on the platform. So we will continue to do that and invest in that. There's not gonna downplay the importance of 2026. For us, it's you spend a year activating. This is about execution. We've spent millions of pounds on scaling this business technologically, and now we will spend millions of pounds scaling the business to reach new customers and from a marketing perspective. So it's about putting our money where our mouth is in Europe and the UK. Big changes coming this year in search and discovery, as I've already mentioned. That's going to be incredible for the business, incredible for sellers. We're expecting to see some tremendous growth. UK is growing 20 to 30% constantly. So really seeing big growth still, even though the numbers are huge. And as I said, Europe will eventually mature to that level. But for now, there's just so much headroom. We're expecting Europe to see ridiculous numbers for the next sort of 24 months. And then hopefully it will calm down a little bit and we can a bit more manageable.
I know you, Cash. You'll just set yourself even bigger targets once you've got there. Probably ridiculous targets at that.
We will launch some more entities. We're not done. Our country profile is not done. We've only done half of what we set out to do from a footprint perspective. So we've got a lot of work to do there, and we've already made it very public that the United States is our next target. We put the brakes on it just to make sure that Europe gets all of the focus that it needs to flourish and have the foundations. The US will be our next big singular project for international. So lots to do there. And we're already putting the right pieces in place to make sure that's a success.
So just one final question before I let you go, Cas. For a retailer that's perhaps not sold on OnBuy, but's getting excited about, okay, I could access the UK, but there's also massive potential in the EU. I'm eyeing up the US coming later in the year. How do they sign up? And for the UK, it's very easy. You go to OnBuy and you sign up. But is it the same in Europe? How easy is it, say, for a German or French retailer to sign up and then expand to other countries, including the UK, and be prepared for the US?
Yeah, well, it's really simple. Go to onbuy.com, take you to your local country, local market, or pick the market that you want to sign up to, wherever your base is. In the footer of the site, there'll be a sell with OnBuy link. Everything straightforward from there. Take you through to the sell location, sign up as a business through there, come through to the localized team, and the team will guide you through the entire process, making sure that you get on quickly, get selling, and we welcome you to join. We see some really big things in 2026. It will be fantastic if you took the jump now and joined our platform and took part in our success with us.
So couldn't be easier. So sign up now, ready to sell to the UK and Europe, and be prepared for ready to expand to the US in the near future. Cas, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.